All right, one of the games of the week, noon on Saturday, especially if you live in God's time zone, Eastern time. We've got Clemson and Georgia. Brian from Clemson Football Live. Man, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. It's always good to be on here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you for stopping by. We'll keep you for a few minutes, talk about this game, and then get you on your way. But, man, we're a day away here on Friday morning from the game, and we are super excited to see what this Clemson team looks like, what this Georgia team looks like, and really what the expectations will be going forward. It's Dabo's joked about it in press conferences. It feels like he's I don't know if you get the vibe, but it feels like he's a little looser in press conferences right now, making jokes about, we play an easy one in LSU next year and Georgia this year, as a Florida State guy, we had LSU for years, and then Georgia Tech obviously didn't go super well, but we're undefeated on U.S. soil, and then Alabama the next 2 years, and so these tough ones open are certainly nerve wracking. But man, what's the mindset right now playing the kings of the sport from the last 5 years?
Well, it's according to who you ask. If you're asking Sweeney, he's trying to keep everybody happy and level-headed and trying to make everyone believe that last year and the 2 years before that, hey, this is just growing pains for us. We're actually getting better. We have better wide receivers coming in and so on. If you ask some of the good old boys who, they're still living in 2016, and they don't realize that that's 8 years ago, and they think they just won a national championship. They're going to be kind of offended at what I say. But if you're talking to me, the mindset going into this game is that our offense cannot resemble any resemblance of the past 3 years Clemson offense. It's just been absolutely anemic, no creativity, which leads to defensive coordinators going, hey, I can predict what they're about to do. So the mindset going into this game, it's actually quite different according to who you're talking to. If you're talking to me, I'm at this point with my team, who I love, been pulling for all my life, grew up in that area. I'm just to the point. Prove it to me. Show me that you're actually a better offense. Show me that you're actually serious about winning ball games. Show me that Garrett Riley is actually calling the plays. Because at this point, Clemson's offense has been its Achilles heel for 3 straight years. The poor defense goes out there. They're fighting. They're doing what they can. Their coaching staff has developed them, is developing them. They're scheming well. On the other side of the ball, other than hiring Matt Luke recently, and I know Garrett has 1 season under his belt, but who knows who was really calling the plays last year? That's still up for debate. Other than that, you might as well start the circus music. Dun, 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 when Clemson's offense runs out there, because it's been that bad. It's been that pedestrian.
Are you expecting? Are you hopeful? Are you just wait and see that you will see some improvement? Year 2 under Riley, Cade another year older. I'm almost hopeful for you that it'll get better. Maybe not in week 5 or whenever you come to Tallahassee, but in the other games, sure. Are you almost hopeful that it gets better, or do you think it'll improve somewhat?
If you watch my show, and I know you check it out from time to time, I boldly say that hope is not a football strategy. And if we have fallen that far from the mountain that we are hoping that things will get better, that's really kind of a carbon test in itself. It tells you how far we've declined, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Look, hiring Matt Luke, which I believe is arguably one of the best position coaches in all of college football, not just offensive line, position coaches. That was a big get for us. But the man is not going to turn water into wine in 9 months. He's going to have to retrain this offensive line that's been riddled with injury, questionable development. And pause there, TJ, for your audience. A lot of people's like, well, Clemson has to recruit better on the offensive line. They need to go get 4- and 5-star players. Well, you need to check into their players. You need to look into their history. They are 4- and 5-star players. In fact, one of our linemen he was tied for the highest rated player we recruited in that incredible number 5 overall, according to 24/7 Sports recruiting class. Tristan Lee was tied with Barrett Carter. That class produced Will Shipley, Phil Maffa, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Nate Wiggins. I could keep going on. So it's a development issue. We go on to the quarterback, Cade Klubnik, a guy who never lost in 6A Texas football. But right now, a lot of Clemson fans, a lot of people like to talk about, oh, he's a bust, he's overrated. Really? Right after DJ was a bust and overrated, and now the 4-star guy who's sitting behind Cade, they're questioning his development. When are we going to accept that this just may be, everybody sit down and buckle up for this one, coaching and development. So I think that you're going to have to give guys like Matt Luke time to retrain some of these guys. And who knows who's going to be calling offense for us. Dabo was never an X's and O's guy. In fact, he was a wide receiver coach when he was hired as interim and then eventually as head coach. So he's openly talked about how he's not an X's and O's guy, but it's interesting to know that he was helping call some plays supposedly last year. So right now I don't know what to think. I'm just in a state, TJ. Just show me. Show me that you're improved. Show me you're going to be creative. Show me that you're going to stretch the field. Show me you're not going to make this easy for Georgia's defensive team to just say, yeah, all we have to do is stack the box, take Maffa away, and they're done.
So the side of the ball that you do have a little more confidence in, I hope, is the defense side of the ball. A couple of years ago, held Georgia to 10 points. I don't know that they'll be that good this year. If you do, I think you win. Although did a couple of years ago and couldn't get it done. So, yeah, Georgia just is the team that seems to find a way every week. Defensively, Clemson, I mean, even last year, lost a game to Florida State, but really only gave up 17 points. Overtime doesn't count, and then, a fumble 6. And so, held a really good Florida State offense down. Defense wasn't necessarily their struggles last year. You do wonder a little bit about, well, if the defense just gets beat down because the offense can't do anything, then, yeah, I mean, the defense could end up giving up some points late. But I think the defense will give you a chance to stay in it as long as the offense can have some extended drives, even if they end in a field goal or two here or there. Just take the ball out of that Georgia offense's hands, because the longer they have it and the longer they can lean up against that Clemson front, which is very good, that's what I worry about the most. Is I think Clemson's defense will come to play. Can the offense be good enough to supplement how good you think Clemson's defense will be? But yeah, do you think this is more low scoring? Like, do you think Clemson's defense can keep Georgia down at least for part of the game until the offense can maybe get clicking?
It's really contingent on the offense. I'm going to give you an example. A couple of years back, we went up to Notre Dame, lost 35-14. That's one of the worst losses that we've had in quite a while, especially under the recent Dabo era. And if you're just driving by and looking at that score, you're like, man, their defense got roasted. No, it was the offense turning over the ball deep in their own territory. It was a blocked punt that was recovered for a touchdown. Most of the time, like you referenced just a second ago, most of the time, like in that Georgia game, 10-3, you hear 10-3, you held them to 10 points. Actually, Clemson's defense held them to 3 points.
Yeah, it was
DJ threw a pick 6. Yeah. So this has been the story for Clemson's offense for a while now. And so our defense, if you ever see them, I'm not saying they never mess up. They're human beings. Of course they do. But if you ever see us give up a lot of points, it's because our offense has put them at a handicap. And our defense, on the offensive side of the ball, I'll go back to the offensive side of the ball. I talked about our positional coaches, and I alluded to the question of development. I mean, when Dabo started at Clemson, he was taking guys that were 3 stars and making them into NFL draft talent. Now we're taking 4 stars and making them look like 3 and 2 stars on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side of the ball, we're still producing first, second, and third round talent. How is it? It goes back to coaching. A lot of the coaches there on the defensive side of the ball are tenured. They have multiple stops, and even the ones like our defensive coordinator, who's never been a defensive coordinator before, this guy has been praised by some very, very brilliant minds in college football and the pros. Bruce Arians praised the guy as just brilliant. He got the keys from Venables. He hasn't wrecked the car. Everything's going well over there. It always goes back to the offense. So I'm hoping that the offense, even if they're slow, even if they having some difficulty here and there moving the ball. I'm just hoping they don't turn over the ball deep in their own territory and jogging that defense out there, because no matter how well they train, they're still humans. They will get tired, and that's where Georgia can exploit you.
Yeah. What's also tough for Clemson fans is I don't really know how now, if the wheels completely come off in this game and you lose by a ton, that'd be one thing. But I really don't know how much you can take away from, how much the offense may or may not have improved. Now, if the offense comes out guns blazing, you're certainly going to say, well, it has improved. But it's going to be hard to know in this week one if they are still struggling or if they're just going up against the best team in the country, right?
Right.
And so that's tough too, right? Like you have to be somewhat measured before the fan base. Now, lose by several touchdowns, that's one thing, but before the fan base fires people again, or I guess he can't call in this year before Tyler calls back in. But it's going to be hard to measure that, in my opinion, because you are going up against Georgia. And so if this is if you score 17, well, most people don't score more than 17 against Georgia. I think that'll be tough for Clemson fans. So, expectations for the game, we'll ask you this and wrap up, but, do you have a score? Do you have a ballpark of where you think this lands? Can Clemson keep it competitive? What are you predicting on Saturday?
Well, I'm more of a guy who relies on history. And again, go back to my anchor statement here that you got to prove it to me. And as much as I hope there's going to be changes, as much as I would love to see Clemson win this ball game, and as much as I will gladly eat crow with a side of homemade honey mustard with this one, I'll believe it when I see it. And right now I have Georgia winning the game somewhere between 24-10, 30-10, somewhere in there. Now, if we see Clemson's offense move the ball, maybe take a little more time off the clock, we see no mistakes, maybe they have some problems getting the ball into the end zone, but they're playing a really close, aggressive game, as I said, consuming some time, we could see somewhere along the 17-13. Again, I'll gladly take, I said 17-13, a 17-13 Georgia win. I will gladly take Clemson winning this ball game. I'm just saying, for me, looking at everything that's happened over the past few years and knowing that though some coaches have been fired, their influence is still there. Yeah. It's going to be difficult to train some of these movements out of these guys. So I see Georgia right now winning 24-10, 30-10. And if Clemson turns the ball over in their own territory, they look anemic. There's no creativity on the offensive side of the ball, and we're offering more excuses than strategy. The excuse being, well, we don't have the personnel. Well, you did at TCU, so I don't know what that excuse is. If that excuse is going to hold water at Clemson. And then who knows who's calling the offensive play, just transparently. It could get ugly. It could get ugly if Clemson does not have some creative moments on the offensive side of the ball. But 24-10, 30-10, somewhere in there, Georgia winning.
Yeah, I lean Georgia here, and I kind of like them with the points too, kind of like you. But hoping that we get a better game than that, and hoping for your sake and, the entire fan base's sake. I almost feel like the conference stuff has kind of brought us together too. Like, oh, well, these are our brothers in arms. It would look great if you guys kind of, saved our butts after what we did in week 0. So, Ryan, where can folks find you? Where can they follow and see more of your show?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Clemson Football Live. Drop me a line, say hello. And it's always good to just hear from people who saw me on other shows like this. So it's incredible. So, find me over there. I talk about Clemson football, but I do talk about other teams. Of course, had you on my show to talk about Florida State and your team going forward. So I look forward to seeing you over there.
Yeah, well, good luck this weekend. Have fun, and go find a way to get this win. So we'll talk to you soon, Brian. Thank you for hanging out, man.
Thanks for having me on.
If you enjoyed this preview, we did an episode this morning where we previewed every big college football game from this weekend. You can click the video on the screen right now to see the rest of them. We appreciate you guys for your support. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for College Football Addiction all year long.